Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Living on Purpose. Proudly brought to you by Bought In for the Win LLC, helping people, organizations, and leaders find happiness and success through coaching, consulting, and training and development. Living on Purpose is the flagship course of Bought In for the Win. It teaches the happiness success cycle method, which is a positive psychology based process to help you create a happy, successful life. Listen, if you want to know more about the course or its offerings, just check out the website or contact me directly. All my contact information will be at the end of each episode. But enough about my shameless self promo. Y'all came here for a show, and I am happy to have you on this new adventure with me. First and foremost, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy life to watch this show. I hope that each of you can gain something meaningful from every episode. During each episode, we're going to take a look at a different step from the happiness success cycle method and some of the science behind it, and then I'll give you a few practical ways that you can apply it either on a personal, organizational, or a leadership perspective, whichever applies most to you, or all three. So let's get started. Here's a look at the steps of the happiness success cycle method. Take a minute to kind of browse through them. Each week we'll talk about one of these different topics. And at the wise recommendation of my wife, we're going to go ahead and start at the very foundation because like all good things, we need to have a solid foundation. We'll start with aligning purpose and values. Before we can start talking about how to align our purpose and values, it's important to understand why. A large part of creating a life full of happiness, success, and fulfillment comes from understanding and connecting with and manifesting or offering your inherent gift to the world. Steve Harvey explains your gift as a thing you do the absolute best with the least amount of effort. It should require nothing of you. It's our responsibility to identify that gift and then seek to offer it to the world in every moment of our life. In each one of those different moments, we can find ourselves fulfilling one of 5 different purpose roles. So we have to identify what the world is needing from us, not only with our gift, but how are we being called on to utilize it. In some instances, we'll find ourselves being the leader, and your gift is the most necessary, and that's your time to shine. In other instances, our gift is simply supporting to maybe allow the leader to fulfill their role. At other times, we're simply participants or observers there to play a part or to glean some kind of information that might help us at a later date and time. And then there's these other instances where our gift is not needed at all, and you're just simply there to pass on by. Maybe see something that might be of value later, possibly. In the course, I frequently use the example of a car wreck at an intersection where all the different people involved have their different roles that they're fulfilling, and hopefully each one of their gifts is being manifested to the fullest extent in that moment. Me personally, when I see something like that, I think it's a good time for me to just be a passerby. Maybe at best I'm going to get out and be a participant and help block traffic or something, but most likely going to be a passerby on that one. So your gift or gifts, if you are so blessed to have more than one, and the purpose roles that we find ourselves in are non-negotiable and non-changeable. So when we talk about aligning our purpose and values, we have to focus on changing the values to meet the task at hand. Now, a lot of people will say, well, my values are my values and I'm not changing them. But I'll tell you, that's where you create friction points or stress because different situations require different character traits from us. As humans with free will, we have a tendency to put our strongest character traits forward in most situations, when in fact, many situations require us to dig much deeper into our values catalog and maybe present some ones that we aren't so frequently connected with. Changing the values to meet the moment is necessary because values are really our feelings and reflect the way that we interact with experiences. And when we try to put the wrong value on a certain experience or try and fulfill a particular purpose and it's not a good fit, then we walk away not having the fulfillment that we should have gotten from an experience. It's almost as if we're trying to fight ourselves internally. So to help me better explain this point, let's take a look at the 3 brains theory. So this theory says that we have a head brain, a heart brain, and a gut brain. The head brain is responsible for logic and reasoning. The gut brain is responsible for instincts and intuitions, and the heart brain is responsible for emotions. I'm not going to get into all the different science behind different personality enneagrams that happens from blending the 3 together and all of that, but I do want to focus on the correlation between having mindful awareness of these 3 different brains and the effect we experience when we have alignment with our gift, purpose, and values. If we think of the head brain as our purpose or understanding how we're being called to present ourselves, and the gut brain as our gift for our natural instincts and natural tendencies, and then the obvious connection of our heart brain to our values or feelings we expect to get from certain experiences, then we can better understand the importance of maintaining this alignment. When I was preparing for this episode, I reviewed a few different resources, and one article I came across from a magazine called The Natural Parent, I think Natural Parenting magazine, it talked about something very unique perspective of this. So the excerpt says, living in congruency is about taking actions and making decisions which are in tune, aware, and aligned with your head, heart, and gut. It's about not placing one above the other or turning one off completely or always relying on one over the other, but rather taking the time and focus to listen to each. What I really like about this excerpt is the use of the phrase living in congruency. Obviously, it has the verbiage correlation to living on purpose, but the idea of maintaining this congruent balance between manifesting your gift, understanding your purpose role that you're being asked to fulfill at any moment, and then aligning your values to meet that moment and maintaining that balance is very fundamental in setting yourself on a path to experience joy in our life events rather than just existing in them. If we leave out any one component, then we're probably setting ourselves up for some degree of apathetic success at best. So now that we have a pretty solid understanding of the how and why behind establishing purpose values alignment, let's look at the three different levels of applying this. On the personal level, purpose values alignment is simply understanding what role you're supposed to be fulfilling and then identifying what part of yourself or your character should be enriched from that experience. Think of it this way. The different experiences that we have in life are supposed to enrich us. If you think about that in financial terms, for simplicity's sake, enrich literally means to increase the value of, right? So when we align our purpose and values on a personal level, we're using a particular experience to increase a particular character trait. The key and the difficult part is being able to do that mindfully and intentionally. One of my favorite examples of purpose value alignment at the personal level and maximizing the effectiveness of your gift actually comes from grocery shopping. If my wife is in the middle of making dinner and has forgotten an ingredient and needs me to run to the store, I'm going to use my gift of problem solving to figure out the most efficient and effective way to accomplish that. Why? Because my purpose role is to be a supporter to her being the leader of the cooking. In this instance, I have to suppress my high-ranking values of knowledge and curiosity because she does not have time to answer my questions or wait on me to sit there and do 20 minutes of comparison shopping. As she said, nobody gives a shit what new soy sauce is out there right now. I need that now. So even though those are two of my high personal values, it's not what's needed in the moment. So I have to go a little farther down my character strengths list and tap into things like service, responsibility, and love. This is all far different from a typical grocery store run where I've had time to plan. We get to know exactly what things we're going to go do or what things we need, and there's no set timeline. In those instances, I usually find myself fluctuating between leader, supporter, and participant depending on the shopping adventure, and I just try real hard to be a passerby on the ice cream aisle. In those instances, I have the time and can allow my values of knowledge and fairness to come to the forefront. Then I have time to see what new products are out there, compare them, and spend 5 minutes reading labels and all those sorts of things while also comparing best prices. Now, that's on a personal level. Let's take a look at how this plays out on an organizational level. From an organizational perspective, purpose values alignment has a lot more to do with maintaining the effectiveness and efficiency of the 4 P's of organizational management: people, process, policy, and product, and ensuring that they're all mutually supportive of each other. In practice, organizational purpose values alignment should answer the following questions. 1. What are the collective we uniquely gifted to provide? 2. How are we needed at this time by those that we serve? And 3, which characteristics of our organization should be strengthened from this experience? One great example of organizational purpose values alignment can be found in sports teams. While all the different people that make up the organization, the players, the coaches, the executives, operations, support staff, community partners, and certainly the fans, they all have their own individual purposes to fulfill, but there's also this collective group purpose that they must recognize. There's the obvious common purpose of being the winning participants in the game day contest, but what about when the purpose roles change and you have fans and players volunteering side by side at a local food pantry? The organization's purpose has changed, but the commitment of the members remains the same. The organizational values that we're looking to enrich on game day are not necessarily the same ones that should be enriched from those volunteer opportunities, although they could be. While an organization's purpose and values should be determined from the collective group, somebody has to be the leader. So let's take a look at how purpose values alignment impacts leadership. All right. As a leader, purpose and values alignment really focuses on balancing personal and organizational alignments. And it doesn't matter if you're the leader of a family, a local T-ball team, a scout troop, Fortune 500 company, doesn't matter. The principles are all still the same. First, you have to not only account for your own personal alignment, but also the personal alignment of the people you lead, while simultaneously keeping the pulse of the organizational purpose values alignment. I feel like you should be doing ballet, or like sounds like one of the guys at the circus that's spinning all the plates at one time. That's the role of the leader. Fortunately, this is primarily accomplished through mission and vision management, where we have to take regular checks on a few questions. First, why does the entity that I'm the leader of currently exist, aka mission? Two, what does my group accomplishing this mission currently look like, aka vision? And then three, what am I or we doing, or can I or we do to maximize the purposes and values of both the individuals and the collective in pursuit of the mission, aka management? Now, one of the most difficult parts for purpose values alignment as a leader is understanding and accepting the fact that leader is not always your purpose role just because it is your position. I'm going to say that again. Leader is not always your purpose role just because it's your position. Sometimes as leaders, we're required to simply be a participant, or in a lot of instances, just be a passerby because your inherent gift is not needed at that moment. Now, somewhere out there, my middle management folks are probably just started clapping, and I am certain that anyone who's ever experienced micromanagement just said something to the effect of, yes, please just let me do my job and use my skills. Now, the second most difficult part for leadership level purpose values alignment comes from selecting the right values and understanding that your personal character traits, particularly when we're talking about the ones that need to be enriched from an experience, may not necessarily be the same as your leadership traits that need to be enriched from a particular experience. Understanding this and then being able to practice it is the very essence of selfless leadership. We all need purpose values alignment, and at some point in time in our life, we each have to do it on a personal, organizational, and leadership level because that's how we experience life. Now, while the thought process for each one of those three areas might be a little different, the principle always remains the same. In order to set ourselves up for a successful outcome that we can also find happiness in, we have to strike a balance between putting our gift to good use, recognizing and fulfilling the purpose role needed of us at the time, and then lastly, we must correctly identify the trait or feeling that can be most of value or enriched from the experience. Now, in subsequent episodes, we'll look at the other principles of the happiness success cycle method and what it truly means to live on purpose. We'll focus more on some actual experiences, and I'll explain how they demonstrate the different principles. I really hope you've enjoyed this show, and please join us again next week to learn more about living on purpose and keep investing in becoming the very best version of yourself, because if you aren't bought in, you sold out.